Hello everyone, March is Women's History Month, and luck be a lady, countless women have made their mark right here in Clark County. Hard work, diligence, creativity. There's no magical play, no magical player, and there's only one Diana Bennett, who is as graceful as it gets. Her vision, unmatched and, well, undefeated. A second-generation casino operator, renowned philanthropist, and one of the most effective and respected executives in the gaming industry. Diana Bennett serves as chairman of the board and is the co-founder of Paragon Gaming. And oh, by the way, she's a Hall of Famer. In 2017, Diana Bennett was inducted into the American Gaming Association Hall of Fame, with her inspirational journey beginning 50 years prior. So, Diana, the year was 1969. You're 19, working in the gaming industry. You look to your right, you look to your left. There's not even a female dealer in sight. So take us on the floor with you. What gave you the courage to not only take that first step, but to keep going?
Well, I was bound and determined not to work for my father. That would have been the easy way out. So I actually interviewed almost at every property up and down, downtown and the Strip, and no one would hire me. The Flamingo was desperate for somebody to answer phones, and because everybody was leaving the Flamingo going to the International. And a very nice man by the name of Dick Thomas interviewed me. And at the end of the interview, he said, I have 3 daughters. I hope they turn out to be as lovely and intelligent as you, which I thought was a very nice thanks, but no thanks. And went home, told my father, I'm never going to get a job. It's your fault. Monday, my phone rang, and it was Dick Thomas. And he said, can you come to work? We need a receptionist in the sales department. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. I didn't think I was going to get a job. He said, well, you weren't. But the woman we had hired couldn't get her sheriff's card. She's actually been arrested for prostitution several times. So you got the job. And that was a start. And that's all I needed was my foot in the door. And I knew I could make things happen from there. And I did. I quickly became a banquet, like not really a director. I wouldn't say director because they didn't give you titles when you're 19. But I put on all the banquets, and that's when the first collision hit.
What was that collision?
The chef wouldn't sign my menus unless I gave him a kiss.
That's a collision.
That's a collision. And if you didn't, then he would say he never got the menu and the banquet might not be served. So I had to think of something clever. And so I started printing all the menus and banquet instructions on NCR forms, and I would take him to his office. He had a secretary. I made the secretary sign that his office had gotten it. And I just avoided the chef. And he actually complained to the general manager, and the general manager said, you're just mad because she's smarter than you. And you just had to come up with clever ways to not get chased around desks. And there was a sales association that they wouldn't let me join because I was female. It was all male. But it didn't stop me. You know, I became a manager. I asked for a raise, and I was told I'd get a business card. That was good.
It's a start. Yes.
Asked for another raise. I got a gold embossed business card. But ultimately, I was told, you're not married, you don't have a family to support, you don't need a raise. But it was okay. I just kept working, and I figured the harder I worked, I would get noticed, and I did. And pretty soon I was convention manager at 21 with a secretary of my own. And I always knew if I just worked hard and did everything I had to do, I would make it.
With those business cards in your back pocket, you blazed a trail. You changed the game. How?
You know, I think, you know, I look back on it now, and I actually, I did take time off. I got married. I had some kids. And I went back, and, you know, women are always said you can have it all. It's, you know, you can have a full family life and a full business life, and it's not easy. It is not easy. And when I went back to work, I was determined to give my kids as much time as I could. Fortunately, when you go back into management, which I did, I went back in. I went to several men that were well known in the business, and one was Mike Ensign, who took over Circus, and the other was Burton Cohen, who happened to be at the Desert Inn, and both of them said they would give me a job, and Mike Ensign did right there on the spot. Thank goodness.
Because you earned it.
He didn't really know that yet, okay. I don't think, but I proved to him. But I asked him, I said, I'll work 24 hours a day if that's what it takes. But if my kid has a school play, or if there's a soccer game on Saturday, I need to be there. But I'll work till midnight Saturday night. I'll clean toilets if toilets need to be cleaned. There's nothing too small, I don't think, that you have to do when you're proving yourself. And Mike Ensign said, when I first started, I cleaned toilets, you know. And that's what I did, but I was there for my kids as much as I could too. My kids will also tell you they made themselves a lot of grilled cheese sandwiches during that time, but they all turned out to be good kids, you know, and they're good parents and they're strong individuals. So,
is that your greatest accomplishment? You've had so many, but
no,
hearing you speak,
they're my greatest,
yeah.
Without a doubt. I am close to my daughter and my two boys, and they are amazing individuals. Despite me, sometimes I think, not because of me, they turned out to be amazing. So I'll always be most proud of them.
Your strength of character, the way you treat people. You were tested early and often, as you alluded to in our conversation here. What'd you learn about yourself in that process, and how did that evolve, right, throughout the years?
I think when you've had something and you've lost everything and you've had to start over again, which was part of my father's history and it's been part of my history. You know, at one point I was divorced, 3 children to raise, no money of my own, and you have to start at the bottom and work your way back up. It's good for you. It's humbling, but it makes you realize, you know, how hard life can be for so many people. And I was raised that way. I mean, my dad had to start all over after my mother passed away when I was only 12. And, you know, his first job was at the Lake Tahoe as a casino host. And my stepmother was a cage cashier. We lived on top of a mountain with no heat, so we know what it's like. And I know that anytime I'm in contact with an employee or somebody that has a problem, that problem is their greatest problem. It doesn't matter that you're trying to run a casino and you think you have all these things. For that person, whatever their issue is at that moment is the biggest problem in the world for them. And you always have to remember that. And I've learned always to listen. Don't think you have the solution in your head. Listen to them all the way through and let them solve the problem. Because they're not looking for you to solve it all the time. They just want to tell you about their problem. And I think that has served me really, really well.
You said that your father is the smartest man you've ever known. Break that down for us.
When he graduated high school, he didn't go to college, and he wanted to get into the Navy Air Force, or the Navy Flying Corps. And he took the exam and he aced it, and no one else had ever aced it. And so they made him take it again, and he aced it. And they made him take a verbal, and he aced it. He just had this vast knowledge of so many things. And when we were at the dinner table when I was growing up, if you asked a question, the encyclopedias were right by the dinner table.
Love it.
And we had to look it up. I'm still so annoying because if somebody says something, I Google it now. No encyclopedias, but I Google everything, and my kids Google everything. But he just had this vast knowledge of so many different things that I wouldn't think he would know about. But he wasn't a know-it-all. But you would just say something, and he would go back 50 years and tell you about who that first pilot was, who the plane was built. And you're like, how do you even know these things? But he was a very quiet, intelligent, philanthropic man who sought no glory.
Humble. Case in point. Case in point. You've had a global impact. If we zoom in on Clark County as we celebrate Women's History Month, Las Vegas has seemed to really bring out the best in you. Why do you think that is?
Oh, because Clark County has been very good to us. It was good to my father. It's been good to my family. And, you know, with the value of my life, it's very important to give back. And, you know, I try to give back to those things that touch my heart the most. My foundation is geared towards women and children. And I got involved with Three Square very early on, so fortunately for me, and the backpack program there. You know, we were doing really well on our fight against hunger until the pandemic, and it's gone back, obviously. We were down to 1 in 7 children, and now it's 1 in 5, and so that need is just so great. And I also work very closely with Noah's House, with Shade Tree. That need is so great. And then UNLV, higher education. The state of Nevada needs us to fix our whole education process, K through 12 as well as higher education. And I just think that's so important. But every single one of the things that I do, I get more back than what I do. I mean, I talk to the kids.
Is that the magic?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and I tell people all the time when they say, you know, I can't give money, and I say, get involved, volunteer. They all need volunteers. And if you volunteer, you find out, oh my God, I had the best day. You talk to a child who is considered food insecure, and they're giving you a handful of pennies so that they can take care of a child that doesn't have food. How can that not bring you joy, you know? Or, you know, I talk to parents at UNLV who tell me their son is the first child to go to college, and now they're going to the medical school because of my scholarship. And how can that not bring you joy? So I'm very selfish. I am so selfish because I do these things because I get so much back. It is not an unselfish act on my part.
Amazing. I love how your mind operates. When you're sitting at that dinner table, your 3 children, your grandchildren, what conversations bring you the most joy?
I have dinner quite often with my oldest son who lives here, and he's got 2 little girls that have just turned 10 and 12. And one day we had a conversation about what is the largest living organism in the world. And my son said it was the quaking aspens that are in Colorado. And I said, no, it was actually this very large mushroom growth that is in Oregon. Turns out we were both right based on how you look at it. But I mean, they cover like 1,000 acres, and it's started from one single organism. And my granddaughter at the end, she said, Grandma, she said, I love it when you're here for dinner because we have the most interesting conversations. And we do. We talk about the things of the day or how their day went, or just off the wall things like largest living organisms. That why would we talk about that? But it's just the fact that getting back to sitting down, having dinner together, cooking together, just that whole thing of being back as a family and sitting down. Families have gotten away from that, and it's just that simple act of sitting together with family that is so important. And we've gotten to having Sunday movie night together, and that the pandemic did that for a lot of families. You know, it brought them back together. It's had so many terrible effects, but I think one of the most profound effects that it will have is how many people realized family is more important than anything. And I see that so often, and I think that for the world is a blessing.
With that said, there was a time when you were a single working mom, true to form, like moms do. You found a way to get the job done. What was the key?
The key was a lot of communication with my kids. A lot of, like, my kids are 10 years apart, so my daughter was the oldest, and she was allowed to go out Friday nights, but she had to stay home Saturday night, and that was tough on her. But Saturday night in the casino's the busiest night. You have to work Saturday night. So she could have a friend stay over, you know, but she would be home Saturday night with the kids. It's not easy, and like I said, my kids will tell you they slapped 2 pieces of bread with a piece of cheese in between and stuck it in the microwave many a night. It's hard. It's in the casino business, it's especially hard. It's, you know, 24 hours a day. But I think the thing you don't do is just buy them more toys. And, you know, my kids didn't get brand new cars when they turned 16. They got a used car, and they had to go to work. They had to pay for their gas. They had to pay for their insurance. I didn't believe in just giving a bunch of money. They needed to work. They needed to find out what life is all about. And I think that's why they're who they are now, because they knew how hard I worked, and they learned that's what they were going to have to do when they grew up. And I think that's very important. I think that's why they are the way they are, that each one of them works and is a great parent. And my daughter never wanted to work. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That worked really well for her. My oldest son, he didn't want his wife to work. And she's a stay-at-home mom, and that's great. And my youngest son, he loves that his wife is a strong businesswoman, and he and she take equal care of their child, you know, and he's the most, you know, balanced life, I think, of the 3. So they each took what I did and made it into their life how it best worked for them. But I, you know, they balanced it into their life, and none of them said, "Oh God, Mom, I so wish you had been home during our life." They knew what I had to do, and they appreciated what I had to do to keep a roof over their head. I didn't have any money from my dad. I had to work. And that's the way my kids are grown too. If you want to live, you know, you got to go to work, and I think that's important.
Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Women's History Month certainly isn't just a celebration, right? And it's also not just about history. So right here, right now, Diana Bennett, what can we all do to be better?
You know, women need to be nice to women. Number one. Sometimes we're not.
You're pausing with purpose there.
Sometimes we are not our best friends. Sometimes we're our worst enemies. And that doesn't mean, I was once asked, you know, now that you own your own company, are you going to make sure every one of your executive positions are filled with women? And the answer is no. I make sure every one of my executive positions is filled with the best person for the job. And if that's a woman, that's great. And at one point I did have 3 general managers in 3 properties. It's not that way now, but that happened to be who was the best person at the time. We need to give a hand to women that are coming up. I'd like to think I've been mentor to quite a few people. I had my women that I looked up to, Claudine Williams, was somebody that I admired so much. You know, she handled her business with such grace and intelligence, and you know, I thought she was amazing. And she was always so kind and generous to me, and you know, I try to be that same way. And you know, it's just we shouldn't be tearing down anybody. Certainly social media has not done anybody a whole lot of favors, and we should teach our children not to be bullies. The world is so much better if we realize that people can have different opinions without being wrong. Our country wasn't raised because we didn't allow different opinions, and we've come to that point now where somehow if you have a opposing opinion, I'm right and you're wrong, and there's no middle ground. We have to come back to middle ground, and women should be the ones that can do it the best. I believe we have shown that we can do that the best, and we should be doing it now.
Confidence is deeply rooted. Love that. What a privilege it is to sit down with you. Thank you for all that you've done and will no doubt continue to do. Thanks, Diana.
Thank you so much.
Together, we have work to do, meaningful work. And to those women who have paved the way for all of us, Clark County thanks you. Until next time, I'm Molly Sullivan.